All right, welcome back, Primal Athletics listeners. Been a couple weeks since we last heard from you. Today we have Brooke Haas, a CrossFit Games athlete from Jacksonville, Florida. She's going to be speaking with us about her training, her CrossFit career, the season this year, and then some things outside the CrossFit realm as well. So thanks for joining us today, Brooke.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Cool. So I guess maybe we'll just jump in with where we're at with training with this whole shutdown. I'm sure things have been spiced up a little bit. How things had to kind of, adapt for you.
Yeah, so I have a full home gym, which is super nice. I have all the concept to, I got the rower, the skier, the biker, I have echo bike, I have a rack, I have a rig, all the plates, dumbbells, kettlebells, and all that I would really need. The only thing that I didn't have was rings to do ring muscle ups and then like a rope to do my rope climbs on. But I was able to modify and do like strict L-sit muscle ups and some seated like L-sit rope climbs and whatever. For the most part, there really wasn't anything that I had to completely avoid. And then living in Florida, like the weather was super nice. So I was able to run outside and do all that stuff. I guess if I was up north, it'd be a little bit different. I'd have to probably switch to using just some of those machines a bit more, but I was able to pretty much like keep up with the training. Thursday, I usually do a pool swim. It's kind of like a recovery day / active recovery day. And obviously all the pools are closed around here, but living in Jacksonville Beach, we have the ocean. So switched to some ocean swims, which definitely spiced it up a little bit. Way different than pool swimming. But I am comfortable with like open water and though I do enjoy the pool a bit more. I'm pretty comfortable in open water too. So it was a good shape. I mean, it was a good change.
I know you typically compete with the teams, and this year I'm not sure, but potentially going individual at the games. Has that changed? Like used to training in the team environment, and obviously now we're a little more wary to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the goal this year, and I made it pretty like straightforward, was that I wanted to go to the games as a team, and I wasn't going to leave it up to chance, like that we weren't going to qualify. So I did also make sure to push really hard in the open so I could qualify individually again, because you never know. But we qualified at Filthy 150 at the first sanctional. So training pretty much, I mean, we had, I think it was like 9 months of just like we could get ready for the games, which was kind of the goal behind it. So we had such a long time to prepare for it. So the training was definitely a little bit different, switching from going pretty much from the open to, right into a sanctional as a team. We all work with the same coach. His name's Jason Layden with Conquer Athlete, and he kind of programs for us specifically based off of our individual weaknesses. And then every Friday we would kind of come together and do a workout that was very similar or the same, and be able to kind of compare our times with it. The team training just in general is a little bit different. A lot of like work to rest ratios, some different movements as well that will mimic like a partner deadlift or doing synchronized stuff. So it was a little bit different. And then obviously with the announcement of the teams being canceled, and retroactively being able to re-accept my individual invite now, which I am doing. I'm going to be going to Aromas and competing as an individual this year. The training has definitely changed again. Yeah, the training has definitely changed. Quite a bit more volume, more monostructural stuff, just a little bit suckier, I guess I would say. Not as much rest period between like interval type stuff. But it's not something I haven't done before. So I kind of just like had to welcome it with open arms and just be ready to go to the pain cave a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel you're gonna have like a very unique experience compared to most of the CrossFit space, being one of those 30 at the games this year without spectators and that like real intimate competition. Is that something you're looking forward to, like that unique part of the games this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and when it was kind of announced that the team, or that the words were coming out that team was probably going to be canceled, I had words with my team as far as if they do decide to re-invite me, what we were going to do with that. And I mean, they were all like, you can't not accept that individual invite. The fact that it was going to be back in Aromas, a smaller community of people competing. They were like, you just can't miss that. And I thought, I knew that in my heart too, but I had already committed to team. So I don't want to leave them in the dust, whether there was something, brewing. And obviously we kind of had a little tip off about the Mayhem thing. We didn't really know the dates of it, but I had to accept my individual invite before those dates were announced. So it's going to be a once in a lifetime experience. And regardless of have I been training as an individual or as a team athlete, I'll be, ecstatic to even be in Aromas and be with those field of women, having that experience together. Cause I highly doubt there's ever going to be an opportunity like that again.
Right. Yeah. It's like throwing it back to, 2007, 2008, even though we're 15 years deep now, you're going to get that unique part of the games.
Right. And I think as a competitor too, it'll be just like a completely different realm for the majority of us. All of us are used to having our coaches around us, being surrounded by fans, being surrounded by, media and all these different things, being, you're really pulled emotionally in all these different directions when you have that much going on around you. And I think for all of us just to be like, I know for me, like be there individually. I really won't have probably anyone come with me. So it'll be like, go compete and like be with myself and my thoughts at the end of the night. And I think a lot of people are going to end up being like that. So it'll be definitely cool.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like between the training and quarantine and like being on your own at Aromas, like this is seems like almost a different test of like, you yourself in your head. I think it'll be kind of a new challenge.
Yes, I agree. And I think a lot of people are either going to be like I think it depends on your training too, whether you train with a lot of people or if you train individually. I think a lot of the high level athletes either train with one or two people, or, some train by themselves. And I train pretty often by myself, so I'm not too worried about that. I have a good idea of like just being able to know like my paces and where I'm at in the workout. But I think for people that are like used to pacing off of multiple other people or knowing previous times from the workout and stuff like that, and they go off of that, it's going to be difficult because it's such a smaller field.
For sure. Yeah. It's going to be that much more, self-driven type of competition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be curious to see, because you see at the regular CrossFit Games, obviously it's very easy to get up for an event. You walk into the stadium under the lights, you got screaming fans. It's not hard to get excited for that. When you go to Aromas and there's 29 other people and it kind of just feels like an overpacked Saturday class, how do you think it's going to feel to kind of like get excited for that first wall? Do you think it's going to take a watt or two to get into it? Or do you think right away, like, all right, I'm here, I can turn the switch on?
So me as a competitor, I've just known this, like it takes me like one or two workouts to be like, all right, you're here now and you're working out. And I just like and that's just history for me. Like I've always tried to be like, you need to live in the moment, like first workout, be ready. Like, and I just can't, like, I don't know why. I don't know why it's always like something like that. And I'm sure there's other people out there too. But whether the first workout's a great workout for me or not, like sometimes I just like, it's just not going so hot for me in that first one. So I think it'll definitely like take a little bit for me personally. There's other people that have that switch that are just like competition time, go. And hopefully obviously there's like more opportunity this year, less cuts and whatnot. But I think that this year is going to be, it'll be good for the community of top level athletes to have this. I think we'll create a stronger bond of top level competitors. A lot of times you go to, like even last year at the games, like, I went to the road, so and all these other athletes that competed, because that was a smaller field and like the top people. But prior to that, like you go to Wadapalooza and you don't really ever get to interact with them. It's like, all right, warm up, corral. You don't really get an experience with that. I would say at the Rogue Invitational, we had some like sit down time and we were able to do that. And it was just such a smaller field. I think it'll be like that too this year, where there'll be a little bit more camaraderie built, intertwined with those top level athletes. And I think it'll create like this cool experience that I think nobody has ever had before.
Yeah. And as a spectator or as a, fan of the sport and a coach and an athlete, like I hope that somebody can get in there and capture what happens there, because I think the story of the games this year is going to be so enthralling, given that it's such a unique circumstance.
I agree. I'm hoping that like they allow for some sort of media coverage there. Obviously, they've expressed that they're going to try to do something, but it's not going to be like to the level it was last year. You know, we're not going to have these big screens up with our times and time chipping and all that stuff. But I'm hoping that like behind the scenes that they're going to allow for some media there.
They should just outfit each athlete with a personal GoPro and then have somebody edit it all at the end.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be
I mean, if you go on that trail run, I mean, we could see that possibly happen, like a chest one, see how many times everyone falls.
Do you have a favorite competition memory? I know you competed at Dubai last year, and that's kind of like a pretty wild place. And do you have any memories in CrossFit competition that like really stick with you?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I actually just posted a picture. The first Rogue Invitational sent me a picture, and I just like every time I think back to it, the Rogue Invitational was the hands down. It was better than the games for me. Just the experience, the workouts, the people running it, the venue, like everything from start to finish was what I would expect, and more, honestly. Like I was very surprised at it. And I've done quite a few competitions from the sanctional level just to like local stuff. But Rogue was definitely the best one. And the highlight for me there, the squat clean ladder that they had, it was like the reps descended and the weight ascended in it. I think I was in the second heat, so I was in that middle pack heat. And I lost to Tia by 1 second. So I almost won. I beat everybody else. And like, this was kind of my first competition being at the level, like this was, at for me, I'd ever seen or competed against, as far as women go in that field. So that was probably, my biggest highlight. I love squat cleans. If you look back at the open, like those are my jam too. So kind of just like a no brainer, just turn, I didn't even have to say like, all right, let's go. It was just like a no brainer, turn off the switch and just get to the finish line as fast as possible.
Yeah. The Rogue Invitational for us, again, on the opposite side of the fence, was so, I guess, relieving to watch, like for it to be covered properly and to have, that like professionalism behind it. Do you see Rogue maybe getting into the CrossFit competition space a little more heavily once Reebok is out of the picture?
I definitely could see them taking over probably either a portion of the games or being a co-sponsor or something with that. It's kind of like a no-brainer if they're like a sponsor. I mean, that's the main thing you need besides athletes. And they obviously know what they're doing and have it well thought out. They have a great team behind them. I think even to the extent of like they would have some better trained judges and possibly paid judges and whatnot for the games, which I think is where it needs to evolve to if they're expecting it to continue to grow as a career level for people's sport. But yeah, I think that, I mean, if you'd ask anyone, I think they think that Rogue would take over. Now, whether they do it or not, obviously that's on them. CrossFit and them would have to come to an agreement.
Right. And I guess
never thought of being a CrossFit umpire as a career. That could be interesting.
Right. Get paid? I would do it once I retire.
Get paid to get yelled at. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. What kind of speaking on that same point, what are your thoughts behind?
I also know me an athlete and I wouldn't want to be on the other side.
What are your thoughts behind the potential split of the sport from the health aspect? Because that's, as we've talked to a lot of games athletes on here, and we ask them this question pretty regularly, and they kind of already said, most of them say this has already happened and we're just waiting for it to be kind of finalized. What's your views on it? Like the split between the sport of CrossFit and the health aspect at the affiliate level?
Yeah, I mean, I feel this, I'm on the board with all the rest of them. I feel it's already split in that direction. I mean, there's the competitive side of CrossFit that, to be completely honest, like if you do this at a high level for say, 5-6 years, like you're definitely not on the health, like you're training day in and day out, you're, injury prone, probably could go on. And that's in any sport. If you're at the professional level of it, like you are not at the peak of health and wellness. You are at maybe peak physical condition and peak physical shape. But on the health and wellness spectrum, no, like you're not resting adequately. You're not fueling properly, even if you're eating completely 100% of the way. So I think that it's already happened. And I think there just needs to be different, marketing for them. Obviously, if we want to remain on the affiliate level of, I'm a head coach at an affiliate, and I don't promote myself as a games athlete. Come to my gym, I'm a games athlete, or anything like that. Like that will scare people away. It naturally is going to attract some people that want to be competitive. But as far as just like at the affiliate level of coaching classes day in and day out, GPP, just like generalized fitness for the masses that are going to, allow them to maintain health and wellness and whatnot, you have to have that split. You have to market it appropriately. And I think that CrossFit is battling with that. And I think it's primarily, Greg Glassman wants to see what he originally, created CrossFit for was to create a generalized program for people to be healthy and well, move well, and do it for a long time. And I think the competitive side of it, I think I listened to Castro say like it was going to be the Woodstock of CrossFit is what Glassman said it was, the CrossFit thing. And I think he thought it was going to be a bit more community driven. And I don't know if he really all it's going to be or what it is already. And nobody can track that, I guess, when you're first in those initial stages. So, like it's already split. There's already a divide between that, and people are doing this for money. People are doing this for a career. People are doing this for a living. Like there's not, there's going to be 2% of the CrossFit community that do that, and the other are doing it to, be able to live a long and fruitful life.
Right. I completely agree with both those points. And also on the part of the marketing, like if you talk to people outside of CrossFit or, friends I have whose their view of CrossFit is like what they see, on Netflix and stuff. So I think it is like, maybe it is just a battle of names, convoluting what's what in the public image of the health aspect and the sport aspect. And that's kind of a rocky road to drive down right now. But I do think it comes down to marketing to whatever audience.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you're trying to attract as an affiliate owner is what you're going to have to market. So we're in Jax Beach, so it's a younger crowd, people that want to be like a part of a community. Like, a lot of people are going to be, looking for, people to hang out with on the weekends and, have kind of like this like family community. A lot of people aren't married yet, so they may be looking to like, find someone possibly at the affiliate that has same interests. But we also, obviously being at the beach too, have our, 40 to 60 year olds that are just literally just doing this because they want to have some sort of physical activity, and CrossFit was kind of like that route for them.
That beach bod.
So we have to show all of our fancy like muscle ups and all that type stuff. And then we also have to show, modifying all these specific movements. In one shot, we have to show people that can do the peak level of the sport, and then people that have come in and have never picked up a weight in their life. And that, as an affiliate owner, I guess is the challenge. And when you can master that and perfect that, that's like, it's your own marketing. And I would say that it's because CrossFit maybe hasn't given us like a specific, like you should market like this. Everybody's kind of done their own thing. And maybe that's like allowed it to kind of fall to the wayside. And maybe some affiliate owners have promoted too much of like the flashy, here I am CrossFit versus, like a silver sneakers type class. And I think that you need to rely on your affiliates to be able to do that. but it also comes from leadership. So I think if CrossFit came out with some sort of like I don't know, the campaign, I guess, of how to promote CrossFit in both lights and for the affiliate, I think that you would find people would have less, they wouldn't have as much of an idea of just like, oh, it's what we see on Netflix, or it's what we see, on these worldwide YouTube channels, or CrossFit fails, or whatever.
Eric, what are your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, I agree. I think it would almost be beneficial to have like two separate names, but then it's like, it's hard to do that too, because CrossFit is one business. So it's tough because you don't want to scare people away from like the sport, but then you also don't want to, diminish the sport, because that's an important part of CrossFit. So it's tricky. I don't really know if there's an answer.
Right. I like the idea of putting it at the responsibility of the affiliates, though. Like you said, once you've mastered the ability to scale the bottom and the top, and give quality coaching and programming to every caliber of athlete that walks through your doors, then I guess it can coexist. But that is a challenge for coaches and owners. It takes a lot of effort to do that, to not individualize towards like, I'm just going to do the sport thing, or I'm just going to deal with general population.
Right.
Yeah. And I think some boxes will go one direction or the other, and that's fine too.
Yeah. And it's also at like, what your ability is as an affiliate owner. Do you have someone that has the time to program multiple different platforms, of competitor stage to just a basic RF, intermediate, and all the way down to your scaled stuff? I mean, CrossFit's infinitely scalable. So me as a programmer, and I've always thought this, and this has been ingrained since I, began CrossFit and learned from, some of the first CrossFit coaches, really was program for the best person in your box and then scale from there. So you're not doing injustice to either parties, but scaling appropriately, obviously, with that.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to look at it.
I'd like to go back to mindset a little bit. I've heard you talk in the past, Brooke, about how your body is so much more capable of what you think it is, and more times often than not, it's your mind that's keeping you back. You talk about finding your why every day, and that's something we're kind of obsessed with on this podcast, as well as finding people's why, understanding why they come back every day. So my question for you would just be, what is your why? What keeps you coming back on a day-to-day basis and on a year-to-year basis trying to compete?
Yeah. And I mean, this will be kind of like constantly changing. It's never like a one why. Every year, every season of your life requires a different why, I think. And it should be what you're passionate about in that moment. It should be what you're passionate about, for that season, I guess, of your life. When I was trying to qualify for a team, my why was because of my other teammates. I trained every day, day in and out, like, to not let them down on the field. I've been a team athlete my whole life, so that's kind of like just where I naturally fell in. I wanted to be the absolute best. I wanted to be the person on the team that everyone looked up to. Like, it was ingrained from me, I guess, from a young age. So that was definitely my why for that. Now, when I competed as an individual, like, that's so, I was trying to qualify for the games and had never done it before. That was obviously my why. You can put that at the peak, and you have these little milestones along the way. Like, okay, well, why are you, taking the time to work on running? Why are you taking the time to work on these specific movements? And it was so you could be, a cohesive unit and a whole athlete. You could be a well-rounded athlete. That's the ultimate goal, I would say, is to have no holes and be the best at everything, not just be the best at weightlifting or, monostructural type stuff, but to be the best at all of it. And then, just for me too, I sacrifice a lot of time that I could be spending doing a lot of other things. I could have pursued multiple different careers. I could have, probably started a family, but and whatnot. So for me, like, why haven't I done that? And for me, it's because I want to continue to compete. Like, I had to make the realization of I'm not done. I haven't reached my like aha, like I've made it kind of moment. And I don't know if that may ever happen. But I want to be satisfied with my career as a whole. So for me, that, you know, as when I'm going as an individual, like, it's kind of like I'm not finished yet, and you have a lot more work to do. And think of like kind of all these sacrifices that you've made to do it, and that's your why. Like, don't let those sacrifices go to waste, pretty much.
Do you think that aha moment's going to be like a tangible feeling, or is it going to be a certain, you place this much, or what do you think it's going to be? I know you said you haven't felt it yet. What do you think that's going to feel like?
I'm not 100% sure what that may feel like. And I said, I may not ever have like an aha moment. It may just be like one day I have the feeling of I've lived a good CrossFit career life, and I'm kind of ready to move on to other stuff. And whether that be just like slowing down my training a little bit, or, you know, I'm always going to be a competitor. There's no doubt about that. And like in the masters age group and stuff, I'm sure I'll still be doing that until I have a double knee replacement or something. I don't know. But, I think that I think I'll know when I have that kind of like moment of I'm satisfied and I've lived a good CrossFit career, and I'm happy with, if I were to tell my children or, you know, tell family and friends about my CrossFit career, like I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of it. I think you'll have kind of like these stages where it's just like, I'm ready to move on and I'm happy with what I've done.
What is the mindset like after a game season ends? Like once the games are over, or your time that year is over, is it I'm resting for the next few months, or is it let's get right back into it again? Is it I don't even want to think about the games for a little bit? Like what is that like when the games are over?
It's probably like drink a couple like too many drinks, have some like pool parties, eat pizza, chips and salsa, like just enjoy like a few couple weeks. Travel a bit, like spend some time without like having, even on travel, you know, as an athlete, we have to schedule in certain stuff or still restrict certain things. So just travel and enjoy a little bit. And then for me, like training pretty much just goes right back to normal, say 2 weeks after. Obviously, like when you're in your game season and when you're peaking for something like the Open or a specific sanctional or something like that, you have your ups and downs of volume and intensity and whatnot. But CrossFit for me is like a way of life. It's just ingrained in me. I like to wake up. I like to feel the endorphins. I like the satisfaction of like having a complete training session done. I will tell you right after the games, like just doing class workouts for probably a month or two has been and what I will kind of continue to do. It allows you as an affiliate, you know, within the affiliate to stay connected to your members too, which I think is super important. And I'm sure there's a lot of other games athletes, and I've seen a lot of other games athletes that do that same thing. You know, they don't put themselves in the corner and just do their own training. Like they involve themselves. And I even now like involve myself with the community. Like one time a week, I'll do a class workout with them, or I'll invite them. So, but yeah, after the games, it's definitely a little bit of a slowdown. That's my dog, Tony. Tony, no,
Just saying hi.
I'm on a podcast.
Come on, Tony.
I know.
Yeah, to kind
I
of
know. He's ridiculous.
to kind of go on that a little bit more, like I think maybe with CrossFit it's different, like you said, but have you talked to any games competitors, or have you experienced like the kind of post-Olympic depression that like Michael Phelps talks about, and what's the snowboarder's name? Shaun
White.
Sean White.
White, yeah. But they talk about like this kind of, once you've made it and you've completed your season, there's this kind of like, you know, now what depression that can sometimes seep in. Have you experienced that or talked to anybody in CrossFit?
Not really. like back when the season was a lot shorter, it might have been like that. You'd probably have to talk to people that did it quite a while ago. But for us, like the sanctional season is so long. The season is just, you don't have an off season really anymore. And if you want to like qualify early on, then you have to kind of just roll with the punches and go from one sanctional to the next, or get lucky and qualify obviously at the first one. And then you have a little bit of off season, but we really now as athletes don't have much of a downtime, like off season period to even, I think about that. Cause it's, you know, I only have 2 months until the open, or, I mean, the games pretty much finishes and we go right into it. Like we're really just going from one to the next. And then if you are a sanctional competitor, you're going to consistently be traveling, training, all things CrossFit. So I personally haven't experienced that. I haven't talked to anyone that has, but not like CrossFit. I've been doing it since 2014, maybe like back in like the 2008s, 9s, 10s, you might find people that have experienced that.
This is something we've asked everybody who comes on. We're really interested in the new sanctional series and kind of what goes into picking a sanctional. I know you said earlier your team goal was to qualify early to have a little bit of an off season. We've had some people say like, I want to go to all of them, make as much money as I can. I want to travel. So what kind of goes into you guys choosing what sanctionals you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, I guess if I was an individual, it might have been a little bit different. Trying to qualify for that, I probably would have looked and, you know, what the past programming has been by them and probably tried to pick one that was going to be more up my alley. I also, it's for like the places I want to go. I mean, Dublin was definitely on a top. We wanted to go there. And then it just so happened to be that first one. And we're like, hey, like we could also qualify and then have a really long off season. Me and Christian are kind of old, so that was kind of nice for us. Dex was having a child, so it was just kind of like perfect timing for us with that. And then, you know, Wodapalooza is just kind of like an always must, like for pretty much anyone that's in the sport. Wodapalooza is just like the go-to for, it's like the Vegas of CrossFit, you know, like everybody's got to go there once or and enjoy themselves. So, you know, it was like that for us as an individual. Like I said, I would probably pick and choose specific ones based off of the type of programming that they put out. You know, like you go to, and I've gone to Minnesota a bunch just because Granite Games, just because that's where I'm originally from. I get to see my family and they get to see me compete and whatnot. But his like absolutely crushes individuals, and typically there's a lot of running. So I don't know why I always continue to go back there because I'm not a good runner. But like I said, it's just kind of like a state thing. But some of the other ones like Rogue, I knew would be right up my alley for the programming. Super classic CrossFit, heavier weights, moving, you know, heavy loads, long distances, and probably not too much running just based off of like knowing the venue kind of. It wasn't like they were going to do this mountainous trail run or we weren't going to swim in the ocean or something like that. You can kind of pick and choose with that. I had signed up for the West Coast Classic with another team just to fill in. We had already qualified and I was just filling in for one of their other girls to see if I could help them qualify too. And that I knew would be like, they were going to do all older regional workout based stuff and then possible swim. So I knew that would be kind of up my alley too. And I know that a lot of other athletes think that same thing. Like they kind of have to look at the programming from years past or see who the programmers are and kind of you'll know if you've been around in the sport long enough, and you can probably pick and choose. But also, I mean, money is a huge factor for a lot of the top level athletes. If you're paying out good money, you're just, you know, you're naturally going to attract more people, and it's usually in pretty cool places too. So you get a free trip out of it.
Yeah, it's been a pretty common theme. People saying like, I want to go to Dublin, I want to go to Dubai, and you have to go to Wodapalooza. So it seems like those are the big three right now.
Right. Yeah. Dubai is, a crazy amount of money. The Madrid one was supposed to be a crazy amount of money too. And Madrid is pretty cool. So it makes for a really wonderful life for CrossFit athletes.
And you guys are planning on Mexico as well, weren't you?
We were. yeah, we wanted to get like a couple more under our belt before the games, just kind of as like training, or just training in general. And Mexico seemed like a fun place right around 4th of July. So yeah, it would have been cool. We had thought about Granite Games and Asbury Park and one other one too. It just didn't work out time wise for a couple of our athletes. So we'll see what comes up in this new sanctional season, and if we're even able to do it.
Yeah,
right.
Hopefully.
Well, Brooke, we just want to say thank you for coming on. We appreciate you giving us your time today. We're all super excited to watch you compete as one of those 30 in Aromas this year, and we'll definitely be rooting for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was a great time talking to you guys.
Where can people find you on social media and stuff if they want to give you a follow?
My name is Brooke DeHook. Pretty simple. On Facebook, you can just find me under an athlete profile as my name, Brooke Haas.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks.
Good luck this year.
Thank you.